Okay, now that your box is completed, we need to make a lid for this box. Every lid is going to be different for each person's box that they made, because all of these lengths and widths of each of your boxes is probably going to be different. They should be 6 inches long by 3 inches wide, but it's very hard to make it exactly accurate like that with the manual machines, and especially with your first time using them. To make the lid, you need to measure your box. What you need to know: nominal size means the size of the part you were trying to make. So the nominal length of our box is 6 inches. The nominal width is 3 inches. So we were trying to make it a 6 by 3 box. Theoretically, that is the number we were shooting for. In all reality, anything that is manufactured is never made to nominal size. There's an actual size that happens after you made it. Even if this was 6.000005 inches long, it is still not nominal. It is still not perfect. Nothing is perfect. Perfect does not exist. So we have to measure it and find out what the actual size is. Actual size is the size of the part, how it actually measures when it is finished. So I have to take a ruler and actually measure the length of this box, and I'm going to measure on the 16th so I can be as accurate as possible. And I just put my thumb up against the edge of the box like this, and then I could put my ruler, because these are steel rulers and the 0 is right out at the edge. I can measure straight from the edge of the box over and check the length. And the length of this on the 16ths, let's see how close we are. That's pretty close to 6 inches. So I'm going to say that's 6 inches. Also, we're measuring up in the corners here where it's more rigid, not in the middle where it can move. So that's one length, that's the top on this side. But I want to turn around the box and check the other side too, because this side may be a different length. It could be 6 1/16. That's pretty close to 6 inches too, so I'm just going to call mine 6 inches. So I'm going to say that the length of my box, because they were both pretty close to 6 inches, real close to 6 inches, within a 16th, less than a 16th. So I'm going to say that they're both 6. If one was higher, if one was a 16th or an 1/8, I have to take the highest number measurement. Now I'm going to check the widths. That's pretty close to 3 inches, so I'm going to say that that's 3 inches. It's slightly over, but not a whole 16th. So 3 inches. Now this part up here is 3 inches. I have to turn the box around and check the other side to see if the other side is any larger. Inches. The corner is more rigid, so I have to check over here. So I'm looking at the top numbers up here. My actual size is really somewhere between like 3.8 6.03 something by about 6.03 something. But I'm just going to use this whole number. I don't need that tiny decimal. So we can reduce this down to the 3/6 because we do not need that much accuracy. Yours could be 3 1/8, maybe 3 1/16. And you need to measure those numbers. If it's within 1/16 of an inch, you need to take it and write that number down. This is what the shape is going to be of the lid. You do not need tabs on this one. There's still hems all the way around. And these are the bend lines for the walls. They're pretty much the same configuration as the box that you made, except for there are no tabs where there would be tabs here. There's such a small area here of metal that you're bending, and with the hems, it's creating enough strength to make the corner rigid without having to tab together the wall. So the walls of the lid are going to be a 1/2 inch long. There's 2 walls on each side. Here's the way you need to look at this. There's a wall here and there's a wall here. The inside is the size of your box. So mine would be 6x3. Yours might be 6 1/16 by 3 1/8. So you have to use these measurements that you measured to know how much metal to cut for your lid. So the walls are 1/2 inch, and one on this side and one on this side is 1 inch in the length, and a 1/2 inch on this side and a 1/2 inch on this side is an extra 1 inch in length in width. The hems are a 1/4 inch, and there are 2 hems on each side. So now there's a 1/4 inch here and a 1/4 inch here. So that's an extra 1/2 inch to the length. And then there's a 1/4 inch here and a 1/4 inch here, which is another extra 1/2 inch to the width. So your formula would be 6 1/16 in length of your lid plus 1 for the walls plus a 1/2 for the hems, and the same for the width, plus 1 plus a 1/2. So your box may not measure equally all the way around. That's why you have to measure your box on all 4 sides to determine the biggest length and the biggest width, so that you can use that in your formula to find out how much material to cut. So here's an example. The length of your box is 6 1/16 after you measure it. We're adding 1/8 of an inch oversize so that the lid fits over the box. It can't be the same size as the box because then the lid wouldn't go over the box. So the 1/8 inch is so there's extra material so the lid fits over the box. Now we add 1 for the extra room for the 2 walls, and we added a 1/2 inch of metal for the hems. So then we're going to add the whole numbers together. The whole numbers are 6 and 1. 6 and 1 equals 7. Then we're going to put all these into like terms. 1/16 is our lowest fraction, so we're going to use that. So 1/8 is 2/16, and 1/2 is 8/16. So now we're going to take our 7 and add this to it. And the overall length becomes 7 11/16. This is only an example. Make sure you measure your own box. And then do it the same way to find the overall width. So it would be, in this example, if yours measured 3 1/8, it would be 3 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1 plus a 1/2. Remember, you need to measure your box. to make the lid fit on your box, to know how much metal to cut for your box. So the calculation that I came up with ended up being a piece of metal 4 5/8 width by 7 5/8 length. So I'm just going to go ahead and start laying this out. That is all of the geometry, except for I need to make the 45s on the hems. So that's simple to do. I don't even need a 45 because it's measured into a square. I can simply put the ruler on through this intersection and through this intersection and draw the 45 across the whole corner, and it will 45 on the end of each hem. That's it. That's about what it should look like when you're done doing the geometry for the lid.